Hi everybody, welcome to this edition of Suds and Strikeouts, where we're talking everything Baltimore Orioles and Major League Baseball. Now the O's are 14-14 on the 2020 season after splitting a 4-game set with the Boston Red Sox at Camden Yards over the weekends, but that's not the big story. Top prospect Ryan Mountcastle was called up to the majors for the first time from the alternate site in Bowie to begin his pro career.
I was just chilling in bed, and Gary Kendall gave me a call around 10 o'clock this morning and let me know that I was getting called up. And yeah, man, I couldn't be any more happier.
He performed well at Bowie. He walked a lot more than he struck out, which was great to see. And there were some really legit arms down there throwing at him. I mean, it was, Hall and Cramer and Bradish and Klein and Handhold, and I mean, it was nothing but velocity and plus stuff down there, and he did well. So, I think he's ready for this challenge. We'll take it as it comes, but I'm excited to see what he can do.
I mean, I just tried to get all my work in down there in Bowie, and just hoping I get my shot and just be ready for when I did. And yeah, we did a lot of good stuff down there, and I feel prepared for the games coming up.
And with that, we make a call to our bullpen where Ray and Justin are standing by to continue our conversation on Ryan Mountcastle and the Baltimore Orioles. Thanks for being here tonight. We just heard Mike Elias talking about what's going on with the Orioles. Top prospect Ryan Mountcastle is in Baltimore, and it sounds like he's there to stay. What do you think about him getting the call up halfway through the season, and what that's going to be like for the rebuild of the Birds?
I'm really excited about it. I've been looking forward to this pretty much all season long. Probably would even say going back to last year. They could have called him up last September and didn't. I think he's done pretty well. He's only gotten in 3 games thus far. Had, I think, 12 plate appearances, only 9 official at-bats. But I will say this. One thing that gives me real encouragement is that his main issue was that he did not walk. His on-base percentage in the minors was only about 30 or so points higher than his average. But already he's got 3 walks in the small period of time he's been up at bat, and he's got 2 of his 3 base hits were for extra bases. So that's pretty encouraging stuff.
Justin, what do you think? I mean, you said don't expedite the rebuild. What do you think about him getting here now?
Yeah, I've been hearing about him for long enough. The walks are absolutely the first thing that I paid attention to. He really worked the count over the weekend. It was really impressive. I think he knew the way that he was going to be attacked, and he had a plan for it. He walked 3 times over the weekend. In 2017 at Bowie, in 153 plate appearances, he walked 3 times total in 153 plate appearances. In 2019 at Norfolk, 24 walks in 553 plate appearances. I mean, that is a free swinger. So he really, I hope, has refined his approach, because this inability to develop on-base percentage guys has been just so concerning for me, and it's been that way for the last 15 years. I mean, Adam Jones made a career of it. Buck Showalter always used to say, well, you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul, because if he becomes more selective, he won't be as aggressive and won't hit as many home runs. So I don't know what the right answer is with players like Adam Jones. I'm just happy to see Mountcastle drawing more walks.
And to piggyback off that, from a team-wide perspective, they're in the top 10 in, I think, batting average and on-base percentage across all of baseball. And that's not something that Orioles have seen in a very, very long time, long before Buck Showalter. So this is something that's actually been affecting the team on a team-wide, roster-wide scale. Everybody's learned how to take walks, get on base, and not just worry about trying to swing for the fences every single time. Unless you're Anthony Santander, that is.
Now they're 14-14. They've been getting some great production out of the catching position. Cisco was once a top prospect. He's there now. Looks to be zoning in on that number 1 catching position. Pedro Severino is hitting the ball real well, but he just got hurt.
And that's a good kind of a problem to have 2 guys able to play catcher. You want to have both their bats in the lineup on a given night, although Severino could miss some time. That's okay. Cisco can jump right in. And if they have to bring in Brian Holiday or Austin Wynns to kind of fill in for Severino, that's fine too. But Cisco's really put it together at the plate, and I say that from a batting perspective at least. He's hitting all over the place. He's getting on base. He's even led off a few times. I don't know how often a catcher ever leads off or even as a DH, but that's really impressive stuff.
You know, the way that they played, I actually, the other day when I was thinking about the future at catcher, I forgot about Adley Rutschman. I mean, we have a top 5 prospect in the sport coming up to take over. And fun problem is the exact phrase that I was thinking of when discussing this. You know, Pedro Severino is only 26 years old, and he is mashing. So this is a guy you could maybe make a DH. I don't know. You maybe switch positions. I don't know what else he could play. Cisco, though, I love his batting eye. His OBP is over 450. The guy takes a walk, and I keep talking about it, but I am enamored with the ability to get on base. So, yeah, what a fun problem to have. I love it.
And the thing about Cisco, too, is that the kid's got some wheels. You know, he's not like Matt Wieters, who's just kind of like lumbering around out there, barely able to stretch it out to a double. Cisco can actually run pretty well.
It's a good problem to have. Now, you know, here's another problem. Well, it wasn't really a problem, but the Orioles traded Manny Machado a couple years ago, and no one really liked the return. They thought they could have gotten more. Finally, one of those players might be coming up to the majors in the form of Dean Cramer, who's been pitching well in the minors, been pitching well at the alternate site of Bowie. He could be a guy who's primed to come up with Wade LeBlanc going down to injury over the weekend and get his shot to play in the majors.
I'm looking forward to seeing him as well. And this could even be more important. They could even put potentially Keegan Egan back in the rotation, depending on what they do prior to the trade deadline next Monday. You know, if somebody like comes calling about Alex Cobb, for instance, they could probably slot him back in the rotation as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing Dean Cramer.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a return finally from some of these trades. I feel like we haven't really seen much at all so far. It's been nice to see Dylan Tate pitching okay. He seems to have an electric arm. He was in the Britton trade, I believe. So it's nice to finally see some of the fruits of these trades start to pay off. So yeah, I'm excited to see Gamer. I'm excited for Diaz to finally get called up, but I want them to be ready, and I don't want them to be on a shuttle back and forth. That tends to really frustrate players. I know Kevin Gausman was just, he went crazy with how many times he was up and down. It might involve something involving service time with pitchers when they do that, but when they come up, I'd like them to be here for good.
Yeah, I would like to see Diaz come up as well at some point, because he's been kind of like an afterthought in the last 2 years as well, since they got him from the Manny deal. I hope they can call him up as well. I hope he can be placed in left field. But then again, they already got Mountcastle playing a lot of left field too. So, but I would also like to see him. It's
a good problem to have. A lot of talent, guys making that leap, getting guys up here to start playing, and it's looking good for the team. As it looks like the rebuild's coming a little faster than it would have been in previous years. These guys are making that jump and are ready. They're not being rushed. A guy that comes to mind being rushed, and I know you guys probably remember this name, Matt Riley. You remember Matt Riley? They rushed that
I vaguely, but I think Justin remembers him better than I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Never the same.
So here's the thing about Matt Riley. His parents bought him a license plate that said 24 karat arm. And this was on the 299 Orioles that had people like Will Clark, Harold Baines, Cal Ripken, BJ Surhoff. You had these, I mean, this is a 20-year-old kid who just got this mega signing bonus. And this is a grumpy old veteran team that sucked. It did not go over well. And he got so much ribbing for that I will always be convinced that the way he was treated when he came to Baltimore by those veterans derailed his career.
Let's hope that these guys are treated better when they come up. Now, Ray, you brought it up a little earlier. Next Monday is the trade deadline, and a team that's been beset by injuries, and I mean beset by injuries, is the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And it now looks like they may be trying to call Cleveland for a couple guys at the alternate site and an all-star.
Yeah, this came on the newswire right before we started talking here. They called the Indians about Mike Clevenger, Zach Plesac, and Francisco Lindor. I can't imagine that the Yankees would get more than two of those three guys, and I would imagine the price to even acquire two of those guys would be astronomical. But if they were to get even say something like Lindor by himself, since Torres has just got hurt, they'd have him through next year. So he would probably come at a pretty expensive price by himself too. But that would really shift the balance of power in the American League East. And it would be a sign probably that the Indians, who currently hold a playoff spot, I believe, may have to pack it in for 2020.
Yeah, the news didn't really. I mean, I know Ray immediately messaged me after, but I didn't even click on the link when I saw it. At this point, anytime there's a upcoming free agent or a team with a relatively good player, the Yankees are going to be connected to them. And I don't know. To me, it's kind of boring.
Well, when we talk about that, and this is what I want to end up tonight's show with, is we are about to the trade deadline. We are about to the midway point of the season. I know we were talking before we went on tonight about our top 5 teams at this point in the year, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Then I'll give you mine. And Ray, I'll start with you. Who's your top 5 right now?
My number 5 team is the Twins. This is a team who their lineup is pretty mediocre if you really look at the stats and look at the bunch of guys they've got there. They're all guys who hit for moderate average, somewhere in the 230 to 250 range, moderate OBP. Nobody really has any power with one very notable exception, and that's Nelson Cruz, who is as old as I am. I think he turns 41 in November, and I just turned 41 last week. So I feel really woefully inadequate right now that he's able to do that kind of thing. And he's leading all of baseball right now in OPS. He's an MVP candidate. He's just killing it. But what's really made the Twins as good as they have been thus far this season is their pitching. And their pitching is number 4 in team ERA. It's number 4 in WHIP. It's number 5 in opposing average. And this is with a bunch of guys who, aside from Jose Barrios and Kenta Maeda, can you even name their other 2 starters in their rotation right now? I'm asking you. I know who they are, but I'm curious to see if you can name those other 2 guys.
You have an Uber driver, Dobnak. Not kidding. He was an Uber driver. I mean, I think he started the wild card game last year. And,
are you talking about Randy Dobnak?
Yeah, Dobnak. Okay. And then is it Odorizzi? I can't say his name.
No, Odorizzi just went on the injured list, actually. So, yes, he would have been correct otherwise. Rich Hill was the last guy. Rich Hill, who's probably like 75 years old and has been pitching for God knows how long. So that's their rotation. And they're able to do this with that kind of rotation and Nelson Cruz and a bunch of guys who probably you can't name more than maybe 2 or 3 guys if you're lucky. So that's my number 5 team. My number 4 team is the Padres. And they're coming off an incredible week. They won 7 straight. They swept the Rangers. They forced Fernando Tatis Jr. to apologize for having the audacity of hitting a grand slam. And they also swept the Astros in pretty convincing fashion over the weekend, too. And I could go through the numbers on them, but we talked about Fernando Tatis and how otherworldly he already is, and he's barely old enough to legally drink. So that's my number 4 team. My number 3 team are my namesake, the Rays. Their pitching staff is ridiculous. They're number 2 in saves. They're number 8 in team ERA. They're number 3 in strikeouts for their pitching staff. But they swept the Yankees and took over the control of the American League East. They are currently tied with the Twins for the second best record in the American League. So they're my number 3 team. My number 2 team are the Dodgers, and this is a team who has superstars at every position on the field. Mookie Betts is just another MVP candidate in his first year at the Dodgers. He's hitting the ball out crazy, but they're also number 1 in team ERA with Buehler and Kershaw, and they're fantastic. And then my number 1 team is Oakland. Oakland is another team who you probably can't name 3 or 4 guys in their entire lineup, and that includes their pitching staff. But their bullpen is lights out. Their starting pitching is fantastic. They're giving the 4th fewest home runs in pitching in baseball this year, and Matt Chapman has the 2nd most extra base hits of any player in all of baseball, second to Anthony Santander, actually. So they're my number 1 team right now.
Yep. My top 5, it's pretty close to Rays, actually. At number 5, I have the Twins. The lineup just mashes. They don't have Garver or Donaldson right now, so when they come back, it's going to be like 2 huge pickups, basically. They haven't really played much at all. Odorizzi, he'll be back soon, I believe. I have concerns at closer with them. Taylor Rogers, I don't know if I believe in long term. Also, lineups like that mash and they just survive so much on the home run, they get shut down in October. They just never win. Mm-hmm. team like that has ever won in October. Number 4, the Padres. I think they have the best young nucleus in baseball. Chris Paddock, who looks like the Undertaker, he could be a number 1. Fernando Tatis is just ridiculous. They hit a grand slam every single night. I think they really have a pretty nice blend of the young talent coming up as well with the Hosmer looks a little bit better, Machado, just a really good blend of the youth and experience. Number 3, I have the Dodgers. I really tried to dive into why the Dodgers are 22-8. Really, it's Betts and Seager are the only ones in the lineup performing. Muncy's hitting under 200. Bellinger's just over 200. Justin Turner has been really average. Dustin May has been pretty good. Kershaw's been good, but when is his next DL stint coming? You know it's coming. You know why they're 22-8? They have 7 relievers with an ERA under 1. Which I couldn't believe. I had to look at it again. 7 relievers. 6 of them are on the active roster. Joe Kelly's one of them who's on the DL. That relief pitching is so fickle. Maybe it'll last the entire year, which is only 30 more games, or maybe it's going to blow up. I don't know. I don't think they're a 22-8 team, but who knows when Muncy and Bellinger start hitting. Let's see. At number 2, I have the Yankees. They just keep getting hit with the injuries, and they just find a way to get it done. Their back end of their bullpen is all power arms, and they can shorten games to 5 and 6 innings. So when you have Britton, Green, Chapman, Ottavino, you got Cole going 8 innings one game, so then all the bullpen arms are fresh the following game. And so if you got Tanaka going 6 innings, I mean, you can really shorten those games with those power arms, and they just find a way to get it done. I mean, they just always have. They plug players into the right spot. I mean, at this point, I need to see them fail before I don't believe in them. Number 1 is Oakland. Their defense is otherworldly. Matt Chapman, Ramon Laureano, Matt Olson. I mean, that is insane. They're probably the 3 best at their position as far as defense. You got Simeon isn't even hitting yet. And then their rotation, I think Manaea has a ton of potential. His ERA is still over 6. Actually, Friars, Montas, and Manaea all have ERAs over 5. So they're not even performing yet, and they're still doing this great. So I put them at number 1. They always get it done in their bullpen. They're just a great team.
I like it. I just tell you that listening to you guys, I'm kind of similar. At number 5, I put the Yankees just because of the injuries. But, when you get to the playoffs, you have guys like Garrett Cole, and like Justin said, the bullpen is just like signing. They're going to hit. At number 4, I had the Twins just because of the lineup and the injuries, and you're going to get guys back in their rotation. At number 4, I had the Rays. The Rays are just playing very well, swept the Yankees. Number 3, I had the Dodgers because they're the Dodgers and they have the best of money can buy. And then, of course, the Oakland A's are the best team in the league. When it comes down to it, though, I think teams like Oakland and Tampa are going to have an advantage come playoff time because they're used to not playing in front of fans as it is. So when they get to play these games, they're not going to have to rely on the crowd for juice because they don't have it anyway.
That's an interesting.
Plus, they also have elite pitching, and that's an advantage for any team playing in October, because hitting gets you to October, pitching wins in October, and that's a really big factor for both those teams for sure.
Well, I want to thank you guys again for being here tonight. Next week is trade deadline day, so we got a lot to talk about on Monday because we're going to know if the Orioles made any moves, what some of the big moves were, and how the landscape of the rosters has changed as we head into September baseball in 2020. Thanks for being here tonight.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, Chris.